Hi, I'm Sue Elliott.
And I'm Ed Holen. Welcome to this special guardianship edition of the Olympia Insider.
Back in 2011, the state legislature made some changes to the guardianship laws as a way to improve the court's monitoring of lay or non-professional guardianships.
Because these changes have been causing frustration in the lives of many families, we thought it would be important to clarify the legislature's intent and talk a little bit about why they made these changes.
Here's David Lord of Disability Rights Washington to explain why these changes were put in place and what they mean to the lay or non-professional guardians.
A few years back, there was a series of newspaper articles that revealed that there were some guardians that weren't doing their job. And as a result, the Bar Association put together a task force that really took a good, close look at guardianship to try and see if there were some things that we could do to improve guardianship and to make guardians understand their responsibilities and also make sure that courts are monitoring them. That work's still in progress. It hasn't been accomplished, but there are a series of recommendations that were put together. And those included a recommendation that there be a regular training program that all people who petition for guardianship need to go through. And then also any guardians that are existing guardians who would also go through. So there was a bill that Representative Moeller championed 2 years ago. And in 2011, it passed, and that bill created that requirement, a requirement that all guardians go through this training, all lay guardians. The training is designed to provide you as a guardian with a basic understanding of what your responsibilities are to the court. What are your responsibilities in terms of providing reports to the court? What kinds of things can you do? What kinds of things are you not supposed to do as a guardian? And that's essentially what the training encompasses. The training also has a testing component, which is actually, in the way that the test works is you have to complete satisfactorily each section, take a short test of a few questions, and once you've responded to those, then you move on to the next section. So it's essentially section by section. In addition to the guardianship training, there was also concern, as I mentioned, that not all guardians were filing reports. You're supposed to file a report every time that you know, in your regular monitoring every 3 years, you should file reports. So in order to make sure that that happens, all guardianships henceforth will have an expiration date, which can be up to 5 years. And what that means is that if you're trying to get something done when you show your guardianship papers, it'll have an expiration date, and you need to have that renewed or you won't be the guardian anymore. So it's really important to pay attention to that expiration date. Again, as I said, that there had been instances where counties weren't tracking whether or not their guardians were filing their reports. There were guardians who hadn't filed for many, many years. And there were many guardians who were not even aware of the requirement that they file reports. And this is a fairly common thing that happens to people where they've had a guardianship for many years and they just didn't know. So that's something that will be remedied by the training, and then also when people do report, they'll get an expiration date and they'll get an explanation from the court that they need to come in again and make sure that they get their guardianship renewed.
Because we're hearing from families frustrated by these changes, we've asked a parent guardian to share how she's handled the new requirements and what advice she has for other families like herself.
We have had guardianship of Chris since he was 14. The renewal date was up the end, well, actually the 1st of September. So the beginning of August, I called our attorney who's dealt with this, and she said, oh, by the way, the rules have changed. You have this, and all this stuff that you have to do. You have to do the training. We have to have all the balance, you know, all the financial stuff balanced, and your narrative has to be done, which we had to do that anyway. We didn't know, and so she hands me this giant packet of paper that I have to fill out, and I was overwhelmed. I was just totally overwhelmed. I had no idea where to even start on it. But I did. I worked through, well, starting was with the guardianship training. The training is the easy part. The hard part is getting the forms together, filling out everything correctly, The training does give you information about what forms you need. However, each county is different. You're going to want to keep really, really good records. We had a shoebox full of receipts with check numbers on every single receipt for everything we've ever spent. That's not good enough. You need to have it listed to where you can just go in and quickly access it. Otherwise, it is going to take you hours and hours and hours. So something like QuickBooks or Excel is what I'm using now, will help keep your check numbers in order and what you've spent it on, and you need to break it down into, well, depending on your county, but ours was medical and food and entertainment, room and board, just anything that doesn't fit into what would be normal. You also need to make a notation of that. Furniture, if you have a car or credit cards, which we didn't have, but if you have credit, everything has to be accounted for, and it has to be to the penny. And it has to balance, because you've got like 3 different forms in there, at least in Benton County, where it's an accounting. I would definitely recommend to contact your attorney or the courts, find out what you need to do, because you may or may not be notified. We weren't. And still, it's December, we still have gotten nothing from the court saying that the rules were changed.
It's important to remember that every county has a different way of monitoring lay or non-professional guardianships. So be sure to find out from your county what specific forms and documentations are required.
That's it for this special edition of the Olympia Insider.